Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 192nd episode of the Orange and Brew podcast. I am one of your hosts today, Dr. Nicholas Manning. You can find me on Twitter at dr_nmanning. My main man, my Batman to this Robin.
Come on.
You can find him on Twitter at Jon Kay NFL. It's a good day.
It's a good day. Why don't you just do me a favor and flip that hat around? Oh, yeah.
Other champions, my friend.
Let me ask you. So for me, I won't ask you because you were a little bit older. When I heard that song in 1997, 98, for me, I honestly thought it was written for the Broncos. So I was like, as a little kid, I'm like, this song is amazing. They made it for the Broncos. I get it. It was so exciting. And so it's great to kind of hear it go around, though, again, and hear it with the Nuggets and all that. I just didn't hear that as much last year with the Avalanche. So hearing the song again just kind of brought back a lot of memories of hearing it the first time with the Broncos and assuming it was written for the Broncos and their valor in winning their first Super Bowl. I mean, those are just things that as kids we imagine. Like,
you don't know, right?
If you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah. I think, when was the first time I don't know. I mean, probably. I mean, I was a little bit older, so middle school, but yeah, I mean, it is one of those things where it's like you don't know really, and that can make total sense. Like,
yeah. I mean, I forget where I went.
For the Broncos, who deserve it after that amazing win way back when
against the Packers. Boy, I mean, going down some memory lanes here, though. I mean, we're talking a long time ago. Favre was playing and was well loved.
Yep, I was in my room. So I was in middle school. I was in my room. I watched the game, door shut, with the TV about as big as a computer screen.
Okay,
and didn't get up the entire game. Didn't get up at halftime. Didn't get up. No one was allowed in. I was old enough to remember the previous losses.
Okay.
Ish.
To feel the Jags pain.
But I really remembered the loss to the 49ers just because I was like so pumped up about it and it looked good early. And then all of a sudden it just was bad. And then we were changing the channel by like the mid third quarter. And I was like, oh, all right. Back then there's no cable. So if you're changing the channel on regular TV stuff, it's not great.
Yeah, that's not a good sign. But
not a good sign. But relative. So let's talk about them Nuggets. I know JT's not here, but I would be remiss if I didn't talk a little bit of Nuggets. So we had predicted, both JT and I, on Monday that the Nuggets would win. Yeah. And by golly, they did. So I would also like to confirm that I, Nicholas Manning, a.k.a. Nicodamus, said Nuggets in 5.
Yeah. It
was the Nuggets in 5. So you're welcome, everyone. They won back at home. Ugly game. You know, it's kind of like sometimes the Super Bowls are like that. So they're either offensive outbursts or it's kind of like a slugfest. I think about like the Kansas City, San Francisco game a few years ago where it was just like, no team really got traction till the end. That's a little bit about what it felt like. But the Heat were going to play that kind of game. The Heat were going to come in and make the referees decide how much they were going to let go. And by the end of the fourth quarter, they were letting a lot go. So there were a few moments in there where I was like, this officiating is getting a little fishy. It's getting a little fishy. We're getting, the foul on the 3-point shot.
So tell me about that. I actually, I actually had to miss that part of the game. So tell me about it. Because I know a lot of people said if it went the other way, what if it changed the game? Kind of those aspects.
Sure.
So, just real quick.
Yeah, I guess it depends. Because it's fringy on the letter of the law. Mm-hmm. So when a shooter goes up, the defender has to let the shooter land safely, which makes sense. Really bad injuries can happen. if anyone's ever had like a really significant ankle sprain because you stepped on something, knee went, leg went sideways,
Right.
get pretty bad. What has been outlawed though over the last few years is when an offensive player kicks their foot out to initiate contact. It's the James Harden rule.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler did that. He did it. He kicked like Aaron Gordon in the junk, man.
But doesn't it seem like that is the move now? Like we see that so often now. If you're having a hard time, just do that little, give yourself like a few inches of space.
It made sense. I think Jimmy understood the desperation. Like they got to get buckets here, and he did what he needed to do. Hats off. I am a Jimmy Butler fan. I wasn't really before. One, the guy makes no excuses.
Yeah.
The guy plays hard. He believes in his team. He's probably a hard teammate to play for because he demands a lot, but he gives a lot. And so shout out to the Heat. But the Denver Nuggets have been and are the best team in the world. And we can say that with an emphatic exclamation point. What I think is so tremendous about this team is it's like it's our team. We didn't buy it. There was a move that was made to bring in Aaron Gordon, but we sent a lot out, and a lot of those players too that left were homegrown guys.
Yeah.
So, we didn't go out and purchase someone like the Yankees. It's not the Yankees or the Dodgers, etc. And so, and to see what this team has went through with injuries, etc. It's just tremendous. It's tremendous to watch. The parade. Sadly, I couldn't be at the parade today. Parental expectations.
Yeah.
But it looked enjoyable outside of Nikola Jokic's wife getting hit with a beer can, apparently.
Did you? Okay.
People, stop it. But they were having fun. And you know what? Like they should. Aaron Gordon partying, that the Monday night through the streets of downtown, just one of the people. I loved it, man. And I think hopefully we'll be able to reference this quite a bit as we talk about the Broncos throughout the season. Is just culture, right? That team has a culture, a genuine appreciation for one another. They want to see this team succeed more than their own accolades. Aaron Gordon is a prime example. That guy was phenomenal in Orlando, and he comes here and he's the fourth fiddle. Like, really? Like, and re-upped for it. Understood it, re-signed. Just what this team has been able to kind of put together. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. So what an exciting time. Denver gets a chance again to the Broncos. Meaning is to, kind of come back to, be the next one in line potentially.
Yeah.
After a parade. So last year faltered. We get a redo this year after the Nuggets set up the stage. So shout out to the Nuggets for setting the example.
Yeah, definitely. And it's been championship city for Denver. I mean, the Mammoth, I believe, won. So we had the Avalanche last year, Nuggets. I mean, it's been great. And going back all the way to the Colorado Crush. I mean, just so much going on here.
Yeah,
so,
really, now it's the Rockies.
Yes. Well, now it's on the Rockies. Yes.
At some point, guys, I need you to
get me back into the playoffs to have a good time. That's all. That's where I want to be. I mean, Rocktober. I don't think we can expect that again. That was just something special.
I don't know that we'll ever experience. I wonder. What's the Bronco equivalent to Rocktober? Was that 11 in a row in 2012?
I mean, it
14-0 start. Like
for me, it was the 1998-1999 season where they they lost one game during the season. They were gone. Oh, they lost two. You're correct. But that first loss, it was against the Giants. It felt like they were going on that trajectory to be that perfect season kind of thing. I didn't have that kind of same kind of feeling for the 2013 team. And obviously that came down. But for when the Giants beat the Broncos in 1999, I think I was in tears, if I recall. So it was one of those, I really thought that was the team. But for you, was it that 2013 team?
Well, the 2012 team,
when
when they couldn't. So they started out rough. They're 2-3, and then won 11 straight. That by far, in my opinion, is still the best team that Peyton Manning brought to Denver. I think that in the 98 Broncos, I think that would have been a really fantastic matchup. But that was every week it was they won a different way, comebacks, blowing guys out. It was phenomenal. And I don't know that I will ever see anything though that finishes off a season. I know that they lost in the World Series, but to be able to take it all the way through the playoffs is just.
How many months was that? Was it 2 months, or was it at the end of it was it 3 months?
It was like early September, so it was 21 out of 22. And like 15 in a row, and to sweep 2 rounds of the postseason, so you win the play-in game.
Yeah,
first round, second round. I mean, just for a team that really didn't know how to win, like it was cool. It was definitely a magical time. So, maybe one day they'll get committed to that, but we'll see.
We'll see.
But you know what? People came here, I hope,
for the Broncos.
For Broncos stuff. Maybe do you want to kick off some news and notes? Just a little bit of catch up for the end of the off-season programming.
Yeah. So
initial thoughts we want to get out there before we get to kind of the main course.
Well, it just sounds like some small minor injuries have happened. Perrine has a thumb injury. It sounds like it's bruised, not broken. So I know some people are concerned about that. But again, if it's bruised and not broken, I think that we'll be okay and be able to manage until training camp and get through that. Besides that, I heard some injuries with Mims and Sanders. It sounds like it held them back a little bit in some camp. But again, it sounds like they'll be okay going into the start of full camp. So again, just minor nicks and bruises, as Peyton was kind of discussing that this team is fighting through, but every team is fighting through that.
Yep.
But one thing I did want to talk about was, and this comes from our boy Orange Crush, was what are your thoughts on Vance Joseph, actually, real quick, and his press conference, and maybe feeling kind of at ease with him leaving with the Broncos and him coming back and all those different things. What are your thoughts on Vance Joseph and a little bit of his press conference and how he feels about the Broncos going forward?
Yeah, I'm impressed, man. I'm impressed that his answer was, I hopefully he believes it, but as regulated and self-reflective as you could get, right? I got a fair shake and it didn't work out, and I feel like they gave me an opportunity. Some coaches don't like that, right? I mean, Joe Evero, right, is pretty frustrated about the shake that Nathaniel Hackett got, and rightfully so to some degree.
That's a good point.
So for Vance to feel like he does, I think that's phenomenal. What I really like too about Vance is like he loves Colorado, right? And so effort from him won't be a problem. Being checked in and the desire to succeed won't be a problem, right? He wants to stay here, barring an opportunity to be a head coach again. I think that would take him. Outside of that, right? Like he's going to work his butt off to make sure this group is good. So I was wondering how that would go, right? Your first press conference at the job you were fired from before.
Yeah.
Like that's just, in what other world does that happen? The NFL, pro sports is crazy like that. So I'm excited to see it. I think that Vance is a good defensive coordinator. He didn't really get asked about just, maybe some of the nuanced stuff that we really would have liked. I know that Christian Parker has really helped out with the communication and keeping a lot of checks and lingo the same.
Yeah.
Some of the concepts, it sounds like they want to run the same as last year, which makes sense. I think a lot of teams will run, a sprinkling of everything. But his style is much different than Vic Fangio's style, right? It's much more aggressive, much more like Wade Phillips versus, someone who really wants to drop as many back as possible. And I don't know that got pressed. I didn't feel like it did. So that will be the interesting part. It sounds like really, who's still here from when he was the coach? Garrett Bowles, Justin
Simmons. I mean, that's
and Cortland, right?
yeah. I mean, it's just a few guys here and there. It really is a completely different team, and that defense. I mean, let's be honest. Simmons is a great leader, and that's not going to hold him up. He's not going to hold anything against Vance Joseph. And I think that Vance Joseph, like you said, he's professional here. He knows what he wants to do. He came back here knowing that he is taking that role that he a little step down, but he's entering that same building where he used to kind of lead things, and now he kind of has to take a different role. But it's also different leaders there. Different ownership, just a lot of different things that can also be the reason why he wanted to come back here, as well as more talent. Let's be honest. Arizona did not give him a lot of talent to work with. At least I felt that. And so I think here in Denver, he has to be excited to work with this talent and get going. Honestly, to work with PS2, to work with those edges once they get healthy, to work with those guys.
Yeah, I think that he the year that he got talent, right, there was a real investment. I think it was like JJ Watt's first year.
Mm-hmm.
They produced well. They were a good team, made the playoffs, etc. So I think he understands the growth that he needed working for Sean Payton, and Sean Payton said it in his presser. His objective is to get his coordinators interviews, right, to give them opportunities for advancement. So why would you not want to come work here? Right? Why would you not want to come work for a coach who will do their best to put you in a good position? So he worked for Cliff Kingsbury this last time. Cliff wasn't running a tight ship, obviously. And probably didn't set a really good example for what maybe Vance needs to improve on to be successful at his next stop. So that, to me, I think is a really impactful thing for Vance, and I think he's aware of it. So I'm excited to see how it will go because I'm rooting for Vance.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously rooting for the Broncos, but I'm rooting for Vance. That would be a phenomenal story for him to be able to succeed here after everything. I think that would be great. He has a lot of the pieces. How he's going to fit and mold them together, I'm worried about his ability to be able to use guys like Drew Sanders or Baron Browning when he's back and healthy. Guys like that who are pretty athletic. You can move them around. You can do, he struggled with Isaiah Simmons a little bit.
Yeah, that was
Zaven Collins. But to his credit, he was the one that put, what is his name? He's in Philadelphia now. He's my guy. Gosh dang it.
Hassan Reddick.
Yeah, Hassan Reddick. He's the one that put Hassan Reddick on the edge. So, maybe his continued evolution with that, I think, will be great. But he's got a chance. He's got the pieces to be a really good defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I agree. You ready to move on to ranking the positions for like the whole AFC West? We can break it down for you guys. You ready for that, Doctor?
Yeah, you know what? I am. I think so. Trying to decide what do we think is kind of maybe the best way to be able to do this. Our friends at Our Lads. I don't know that they're our friends. Who knows?
They're our friends.
They have a couple ways to be able to look at this. So I do have it by position. We're going to give this a shot just to be able to kind of look at how this goes. So we're gonna talk a little bit just AFC West and how the Broncos stack up with our division foes. So we'll go through a few of these before we take our beer break and then hop back in.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start first with the wide receiver room.
Let's do it.
So, what do you maybe give me your overall take in just maybe the Broncos, the Broncos group as we see it here?
Yeah, when it comes to this Broncos wide receiver group, I think you have a lot of talent. I think there's a lot that, we all have questions about these injuries. How are these guys going to come back? With Sutton, it's been a few years. We'd like to see him get back to that full strength. Same with Tim Patrick. He had a full year off after that ACL injury, if I'm correct. Like to see him back. But again, you bring in someone like Marvin Mims Jr., who can be that explosive player, maybe be able to do what KJ Hamler's been expected to do. So that's someone to be very excited about. When it comes to the Chiefs, at least, though, I feel like they kind of are riding on, just kind of a little bit less known talent. They kind of just drafted some names, and besides that, they're just taking some flyers on some guys, and they're trusting Mahomes in their system. So for me, that's kind of those two teams. Why don't you take on the Raiders and the Chargers?
Yeah, the Raiders are top heavy. So Devontae Adams is at what top?
He's a top 3 guy in my opinion.
Yeah. And then I think Jacoby Myers is a nice player.
Yeah.
And then Hunter Renfrow has been, a lot of injuries last year. I think he had multiple concussions, and
I don't know what his status is.
And just kind of really wasn't himself. So that will be interesting. It doesn't sound like they like him, which is kind of odd, right? Considering the archetype of the New England offense. Your gym rat, your coach's kid, people know where I'm getting at. Working out of the slot, you'd think that Hunter Renfrow would probably be a much more attractive piece to that offense.
You'd think.
And then, you have the Chargers, who Mike Williams, first round pick, top 10 pick. Quentin Johnston was potentially going to be a top 10 pick. I think if he would have had a good game against Georgia, I think that would have really given him an opportunity to move up. But first round nonetheless. And then Keenan Allen, who's a multi-Pro Bowl player. So really good group, all with some pretty similar skill sets. I think Quentin Johnston is probably the fastest of the group in terms of can do more with bubble screens and that kind of stuff. Mike Williams is your he's just going to moss people, deep downfield threat who will win a 50-50 ball. And then Keenan Allen, who, I think runs like a 4.8 40. However, will catch almost everything and really, really good technician, etc. So, and then I think I like some other pieces. I like Jalen Guyton. I think he's a pretty good player. Palmer's a pretty good player.
I like Palmer.
We'll see some of the young guys, but I think they got some good depth. So overall, I think the AFC West has some, pretty good talent. What I do think is interesting is if I were to look at this, and my 2 cents would be, I think that the Chiefs are the worst. They would be fourth, in my opinion, in terms of in ranking these groups.
Okay.
So Sky, I think is who knows, minimal contributions last year, wasn't asked to do a ton. I think, kind of got more work and progressed as the season went on, but I wouldn't necessarily say going into this season, I'm expecting a ton. I probably will be wrong though. But I think he's a good player. We'll see how they use him. Marquez Valdez-Scantling is a straight line guy. I think he produced enough for them. He did what they asked him to do, and I think he did pretty well. And then Kadarius Toney, I think he came in and gave him some pretty good sparks. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. So
you have them as 4.
I have them as 4.
Yeah.
And then, which I think is interesting, right? It's like their quarterback elevates that group.
Yeah, I agree. I actually have them at number 4 as well. I think it's pretty obvious. They're kind of holding on by Mahomes. So for me, they're clearly number 4, and that's how they built their team.
Yep. Yeah, which makes sense. When you have a all-world player distributing the ball, you don't need all-world receivers necessarily.
Yeah,
so it's good, but don't need them. At 3rd,
who do you got?
I would actually say the Las Vegas Raiders. Though I was going to say that too. Adams is a premier talent. They don't know how to use Hunter Renfrow, and Jacoby Myers is a dude.
Yeah, I got them as number 3 too. It's one of those things where yes, Adams provides you so much, but you have a lockdown corner on him. Have a guy mirror him, be a little bit closer there. To me, Jacoby Myers, I don't know. I always thought of him as maybe I'm thinking of it wrong. He was a Patriot, right?
Yeah.
I always thought of him as more of like he fit a tight end role, and then he kind of just, I don't know. I just never really liked him, to be honest. Renfro, he's a great player, but I just, like you said, I don't understand why they don't like him. They're trying to trade him, they're trying to move on, and no takers, it seems like. So for me, it's pretty clear that they're number 3 in the room. In the West.
And then, however they do it in like the beauty pageants, right, where they announce second place.
Yeah, and then the other person go. Yeah.
And the runner-up goes to, at this point in time, I actually would say the Denver Broncos. Yeah. A ton of it is because, and what I was really excited to hear, Cecil Lammey had talked about Courtland Sutton looks pre-injury Courtland Sutton for the first time in a long time, which is really, really good to hear. Tim Patrick, you still don't know, coming off the ACL. I expect him to be good, but I wouldn't put money on that. I think it just takes a while. Jerry Jeudy has all the talent in the world, but it hasn't capitalized yet. And then Marvin Mims already is hurt. Maybe to, small degree, but when you're looking to bring in a guy to replace an oft-injured other guy,
yes,
he gets injured. Not great. Marquez Callaway, I think is a good player if he can continue to do what he did under Sean Payton the first time. I think that they got a nice bargain for sure. So I think the depth here is good in my opinion. I think that they have some good players, kind of 1 through 6, but not as top heavy as the number 1 team, the Los Angeles Chargers.
I'm in full heart, agreement there. I really do like the Quentin Johnston pickup for the Los Angeles Chargers. I think Joshua Palmer is underrated, and to have him as your number 4 is very valuable. And even, Darius Davis, I think he can be used well and implemented if the right way, can be productive. So I have Los Angeles as the number 1 team here, and the Broncos, I think, are very firm and steady at number 2.
All right. So we agree. Let me go pull up the next one, and then we will we'll kind of move to
flow with this.
Yeah. So let's do that. So we're going to go to the running back room really quick.
Ooh,
and then we're going to see how that goes. I'm going to wait for this ad to go away.
No one ads, but I mean, it's one of those things where when it comes to this running back room, I know a lot of people want, another running back and for the Broncos to add, but I think that this is the Broncos running back room.
Yeah, which, when you have a guy like Samaje Perine who's already hurt, with Javonte Williams already hurt, I think it goes to show some of the concerns that we have. But we can only talk about what we can talk about now. So in my opinion, I think if all were healthy, I think this is a really good group. It's a really good, at least from the top down. Josh Jacobs really had a fantastic year last year. Probably his best for sure.
Yeah,
definitely. Pacheco carried the Chiefs, or helped carry the Chiefs towards the end of the season, especially in the playoffs, bringing some toughness at the running back position. Austin Eckler is a do-everything player, and Javonte Williams can do everything. We'll just see how he comes out. So with that, I think Samaje Perine and Jerick McKinnon are probably like the best backups out of that group. I like Samaje Perine more than McKinnon. I think he can do more stuff. McKinnon can give you more speed and split out, but Samaje Perine is a more, I think, well-rounded back. So I like that 1-2 punch better. You start getting into 3, 4, 5. We'll see. But most teams won't get that far. So
right.
I kind of look at the top 3. So the way that I would look at it is I really actually still like the Chargers room first. I think Austin Eckler is the best. So I'll kind of go in reverse like I did instead of last time. So I think the Chargers have the best.
Okay.
Really, because I think Joshua Kelly is a pretty good player. I liked Isaiah Spiller coming out. And Austin Eckler, in my opinion, is the best of the group.
Yeah.
Phenomenal playmaker. All he does is score touchdowns. Receiving threat, rushing threat, can kind of do it all. So love me that guy. What are your thoughts? Who's number 1 in your opinion?
Number one, I'm going to go out there and put the Las Vegas Raiders actually with Josh Jacobs, even though he's on that 1 year deal. I like who they have as backups in Amir Abdullah. He was a Bronco, didn't really see much of him when he was here. But again, they got out of the draft Zamir White from Arizona State. Really would like to see him pair well with Josh Jacobs. If that goes how accordingly, I think that can be a really powerful tandem. And again, they complement each other real well. So number one for me would definitely be the Las Vegas Raiders. I think that, again, it just comes down to Josh Jacobs last year. You saw him carry the load. If he can remain healthy and carry that load again, I mean, that's huge for anyone. And again, hopefully some guys behind him can start to develop to give him some time to breathe, because he didn't have much of that last year, definitely.
Sure.
So yeah, that's how I feel. Number one, and I agree with the number two. It's the Los Angeles Chargers, honestly, at this point with health at least. Austin Eckler, we know what he's able to do from UNC. Joshua Kelly, I've really liked, honestly, for a while. I just think he needs that opportunity. So I really like the Los Angeles Chargers at that number two slot.
I hate to correct you, but he didn't go to UNC. Because I went to UNC and I would have owned the world in bragging rights if that didn't.
Where did he go? Where did he go again? In Colorado. Western Colorado.
Formerly Mesa. Anyway, small school, doesn't matter. So if healthy, I would have the Broncos at 2. So if Javonte Williams, I'm going to have an asterisk here because it's my game. If he's healthy, Samaje Perine and Javonte Williams are better 1-2 punch.
I'd agree with that.
Josh Jacobs and Amir Abdullah. If Javonte is not healthy, Josh Jacobs, I think, trumps the pair because he showed out. I was a skeptic. He's a guy that really looked like he only played well against the Broncos and then had some phenomenal games outside of that last season. Contract years will do that for you. So if things are healthy, I have the Broncos at 2, the Raiders at 3, and the Chiefs at 4, which is interesting because I really do like their group. I think that's probably one of my favorite depth groups out of the bunch. If not healthy, I actually have them 4th. So Samaje Perine, Tony Jones, that by far would be the 4th group.
Yeah, so then continuing mine, I have the Broncos at 3rd and then the Chiefs at 4th. Again, it just comes down to health. And like you said, is this team going to be okay? So we'll see.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Our the defending Super Bowl champs definitely are saving some money when it comes to their.
You got to pick one position. I mean, you have to somewhere.
You do. You got to figure that out. I think that's well put. Well put. Now we're going to go to the quarterback room.
Okay.
Which, I think we all can agree.
I think we know who's number one's going to be. It's the quarterback who's number one in the entire NFL.
Yeah.
And that's, without saying, it's the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. Not even looking, again, Blaine Gabbert, fine, he's a fine backup a long time ago. Jaguar pick, but
yeah,
it's the Chiefs at Patrick Mahomes.
Exactly.
It's clear, and
Pat Mahomes is in his own world right now. And then begrudgingly, I think Justin Herbert has shown that he continues to ascend, even though I'm not sold necessarily. Stat compiler, and I mean that in he's been a really good player. They just haven't won around him.
Yeah. And
at some point, I think for a quarterback to get his dues, he's got to be the reason they win, not the reason that they're almost winning. And I mean that in critical games and situations. We saw that plenty of times against the Broncos. He just, for a team that should be more talented on paper several times, should blow the Broncos out and doesn't. But sky's the limit. I think he'll get, this will be a much better skill set or skill group and offensive scheme for him. So I think he's going to have a tremendous year. And then Russ, in my opinion, even though I think some would say Jimmy Garoppolo, I think we're going to see a really good version of Russ. So in my opinion, the Broncos are 3rd. And then if Jimmy even plays,
there you go.
I think the Raiders are 4th anyway. However, I'm going to ask you, who's your favorite backup out of that group?
Brian Hoyer has been in the NFL for so long, but Give me Aiden O'Connell at this point. He got Purdue to do some things that I didn't expect. So let's give it to Aiden.
All right.
What about yourself?
You know
Let me ask you though. It's same question.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Ben DiNucci.
Oh, there you go.
No, that's not true. I wouldn't probably do that. I wanted to. There was a time when Brian Hoyer was a Brown that I really was into it.
Yeah, I felt like he could have turned the right way. It just
could have been, and then it wasn't. I think Blaine Gabbert. I don't know.
The Browns do that to a lot of players. Jeff Garcia.
Yeah,
I felt the same way with Jeff Garcia. So I'll do my rankings. Real quick. I think we're in the same. I was 3 with Russell Wilson, and same with Jimmy Garoppolo if he makes it out. It doesn't sound like he's going to make it past this year, to be honest. Which is, how they set up that contract. So we'll see how they end. Let me ask you this: does this put them in the sweepstakes essentially for Caleb Williams, or is that what they're trying to do? Get that top pick?
I don't know that they're trying to do it, but they might accidentally fall into it.
I think so too. Accidentally.
If it were me, and unless I feel good about Jimmy's, if he's going to be hobbled or you don't want to fall into wins. Do you want to be a 6-win team and then you get the 3rd best quarterback? This might be a really good draft to do that.
Yeah, that's.
But I wouldn't. Plus you can void his contract, save a whole bunch of cap room, roll it over for next year. You get Caleb Williams and go on, which I'm scared that is what's going to happen, which would make me really angry.
Yeah, no, I agree.
All right.
You ready to switch things up and go into some beer time?
I'm ready. Every single time. Single time.
I do have something to note. Orange Crush, our boy, is sending me some beer from Texas, so got to try some different beers. He'll be here probably pretty shortly, so I think he's sending a few of them with 3, so we can all try them at once and have a little smorgasbord. Maybe he can come on and try them out too. So very excited to get those beers, some different ones from Texas.
You know what? One, I love it. 2, the fact that you just said smorgasbord.
Thank you.
Smorgasbord.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try our. So again, we got some Breckenridge Brew here. So this is called the Dank Drop Hazy IPA. Why? Don't know yet. We're gonna find out what that's about. But so again, another hazy IPA. So similar to our last couple of episodes, but I think this one is at 6.7 ABV, which is accurate. So I'm excited. We're going to see what this one tastes like. It's supposed to have some of the same body as the hazy IPA that we tried last time. That was a hit. So we'll see. We'll kind of see what's going on with this bad boy.
Let's crack it.
All right. Ready for the pop?
Yes, I am, sir.
2M.
Oh, yeah. I can hear those pops so much more crisp on StreamYard versus Zoom, just to let you know. It's just boom. And I have high expectations for this one just because of the name. Following up the Nuggets Dank Drop, I'm expecting something to drop.
You know what I'm saying? The can work. It's dope. So,
it's dope. First impressions.
It's good. It's straightforward. There's not a lot of fruit, so it's pretty hoppy. But I'm all about it. It's a good one.
Yeah. So is this a championship kind of
strong flavor? Hangs around. Yeah, it's a strong showing. So it's kind of like a Bruce Brown of.
Gotcha.
Maybe not a star of the rotation, but you couldn't do it without it.
Yes, you need to have it in there and mix it up and have those times because you can't have all joking.
Mm-hmm. You can't have all Jokic. Nope.
I mean, you can, but I mean, I don't know where you'll be the next day. I mean,
you're tired and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You drink a little too much.
Breckenridge Brew, for the most part, they don't miss. So the Dank Drop Hazy IPA, if you are of age, go get one.
Yeah. Definitely. So you ready to kick it back to getting back to some of the Broncos and ranking this AFC?
I'm ready.
Perfect. Where are we heading to now?
Let's go to You know what? Let's go look at. We're going to change up the view a little bit, but we're going to look at each team's offensive lines and just see how we feel about them.
Gotcha. This offensive line, I know for the Broncos, I'm feeling a lot better, at least in terms of who was signed. Maybe not the prices some of these guys were signed, but the players themselves, I'm happy with. And I feel like that, again, with a new coaching staff, we can get these 5 guys together and be one. And I think that's one of the key components here is last year it felt like the guys weren't working, together. They kind of just were kind of put together and it just didn't feel like a cohesive unit. And I think that's going to be the biggest change.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. So I'm going to be that old guy. Can you see my screen?
No, I can't.
Good. All right. It's because I didn't add it yet.
There you go.
There we go. So we got, I think, let me make sure we can see them all. So in my opinion, probably the Broncos' best starting 5 since
it's been a long time.
2012. In my opinion, probably 2012.
It's been a long time. I mean, trying to think back for me is when Vasquez was here was the last line I felt comfortable with, but Vasquez had to start switching to right tackle and there was injuries. So I mean,
him and Evan Mathis were like broken.
Yeah. So I mean, it was one of those.
So I don't know that I felt good about that group.
Yeah,
I did early before injuries.
Right.
Was that the Sembrilo year when he got hurt?
That might have been.
He looked good and then he got hurt. Yeah, that was.
I was surprised he stayed around in the league with the Falcons like he did. By the way, I
Yeah,
know that's off
what?
topic, but I mean, it's just showing that guys can you can rebound.
You can, at least a little bit. So for this group, really, in my opinion, only area of real concern is Cush.
Yeah, I mean, again, we've kind of beat it to a dead horse, though. It's that center position, though. We want to see the competition there, and I think they're going to allow that competition, which is the huge factor which wasn't really allowed last year. And for me, allow those guys to play and allow the best man to win. And if you have that be your weak spot, you have Quinn Miners and Ben Powers to assist that and elevate your center, essentially.
Yeah.
Which is a good place to be in.
Yeah. Not every team will be solidified throughout, right? Like every team has to pick and choose. We just talked about how the Kansas City Chiefs, were saving some money in terms of their running back room and their receiver room, in terms of the league, etc.
Yeah.
And you know what? The Broncos finding 5 above average starting offensive linemen in this league is really difficult, just in the salary cap era. So you solidify it with Mike McGlinchey. Quinn Miners, we all believe is ready to take another step. Ben Powers was a big ticket addition who, in my opinion, is the best offensive lineman on this roster.
He is.
And then Garrett Bowles has a chance. Usually, we kind of talked about it in the last pod with our guy Gabe Morris. He should just focus on being above average. Just be a good player.
Yeah.
And we don't need elite Garrett Bowles this season. He really just has to be able to hold his own weight. What I think really helps this room is the return of Cam Fleming because of his ability to play multiple positions and be an above average backup. I think that gives you some flexibility to have the best 5 if you wanted or needed to. If Cushenberry is or the center position is really, really struggling, you can have Quinn Miners pop in and play center. I think that was kind of an initial plan. And then have Cam Fleming come in at guard, et cetera. We'll see with a guy like Kyle Fuller or Luke Wattenberg. I like Alex Forsyth, but we'll see. So overall, good group. But let's jump really quick to some of, in my opinion, the team who has the best offensive line roster.
I definitely think the interior offensive line of Kansas City is one of the best in the league. I think. Like we're seeing right here. Creed Humphreys, don't get me wrong. I love him. I think he's a top center talent. I just think he gets a little bit too much credit for the guys around him. Just again, because he has Trey Smith, he has Joe Tooney. I just think that elevates his play just that much more. So the interior offensive line, probably of the Chiefs, I probably would say is the best of all the AFC West. Would you agree with that in terms of the interior offensive line?
Yeah, I would say for sure. I would say that this is the best group, hands down, in my opinion. 1 through 5 or left to right, however we would want to look at it. They're good. Juwan Taylor, in my opinion, is a really, really good right tackle. To get him back to right tackle.
Yeah, that's what I liked. I liked that they didn't force their hand and have to do it where they did with Brown and say, okay, we understand you want to be a left tackle. It would suit us better for you to be at right tackle, but we'll do what you want here. I feel like Juwan Taylor said, hey, you're giving me that money. I'll play where you want me to play. So that's that's just beneficial for me. And I really like to see that.
Yeah. Donovan Smith, I think, is definitely on the back end of his career, but a natural left tackle. You play for a guy like Andy Reid and with a guy like Patrick Mahomes, you're going to benefit, and I think he's going to be able to have an opportunity to have a bounce back season. I still think he's the weak link, in my opinion, but a good player. Joe Tooney is phenomenal. He's probably one of, if not the best guard in football.
Yeah,
Trey Smith is it's a tremendous Kansas City find. Was a guy that could have or should have been, second round pick.
Yeah, it just those medicals that shows you when they were concerned with his heart. I mean, did he go undrafted because of that? I can't quite recall, but if not, it's round.
Yep. Yeah. Lost a lot of money.
Yeah, but I mean, he was a great talent out of Tennessee, and there's a reason why he was able to be implemented at right guard once he kind of got into Kansas City. So,
I mean, as a rookie, right? 6th round rookie, they played him on a Super Bowl team, Super Bowl caliber team right away. I really like Wayne Morris. That was one of my guys.
I do too. I like him too.
And then Algrady.
I also think KC fits him well.
Yeah, I think so too. Has an opportunity to learn for a year. Has all the physical tools. Lucas Niang has been a starter. So 1 to 10, I think that this is the group. So
they got Kennard too, by the way. I did not realize that. Man, they have some good depth, man.
They have some dudes. So they
have some dudes. Yeah, that's an
I'm
line.
Impressed with what they pulled, but not excited to watch it every Sunday. So here we have Rashawn Slater, Zion Johnson, Corey Linsley, Jamari Saylor, not Slayer. Saylor.
I always say
Saylor. And then Trey Pipkins. What are your thoughts about their line, and where would you rank it?
I think it's still a good line. Zion Johnson, I expect to see a lot out of. Rashawn Slater, I think, is one of the best, young left tackles out there. Maybe even, maybe he's in the top 5 already. Saylor, gonna say... Can't say it quite properly, but overall, this offensive line, I really like it. I think they're probably very solidified. Again, Pimpkins is, I think, the weak link, but I really wouldn't call him that much of a weak link when he has good guys around him, and I like this line. What about you?
I like the line too. I hope for their sake, not Broncos' sake, that they bounce back. Zion Johnson is a phenomenal player. I really like him. So that left side of the line is going to be pretty good. I don't like their depth. Jordan McFadden,
that was a hard, That is
Clemson. So any injuries which have been a part of, we thought the Broncos were snake bitten. The Chargers are snake bitten over time. And then I think Trey Pipkins played better than expected last year. I don't think he's that great of a player. I think Saylor is a good player. I think Corey Linsley is the kind of the gem right now. Rashawn Slater didn't take that huge jump last year due to injury. So we'll see how he bounces back. So I like this group. If I were to rank it, so I think we agree that Kansas City is 1. I think that this group would rank, because of the top tier talent with Slater, Johnson, and Linsley, my opinion, I think that they would be 2.
That's tough for me.
We'll be open for debate. But because of the depth, I think I think I would go with the Broncos too.
Yeah, I think if you look at it as a whole, if there's an injury to that team, they're going to be in trouble with Chargers. So I would lean towards the Broncos at 2. And let's switch on over to Las Vegas, who what
are they doing, man?
I mean,
I know
I like Colton Miller. I like him. He's just they pay him well. He does what he's asked of. But he's just to me, he's just a solid guy. He's someone you can trust in. He's what you basically you want Bulls to be at his baseline.
Yep. So I would agree. I think Parham was a player that I liked. I think that they drafted him real high.
Yeah.
But a pretty good player. Andre James is I think he is overachieved. Alex Bars is a pretty good player. And then
Moody.
Illuminor, I think, is a really good Swiss Army knife. But is he a phenomenal right tackle? I don't know. I think that this group played pretty well together. I don't like their depth. When Netanya Moody is your best backup, who I miss dearly. Not a great time. So I think that still some opportunities for this group to improve. I'm not really sure, why this really wasn't a focus. You saw no real key additions this offseason. So, easily in 4th, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Do you want to do the tight end room real quick, or let's do some tight ends? I know for the Broncos, a lot of people are very excited for Greg Dulcich. I have very high hopes for him. Again, it's more of a receiving kind of high hopes, but again, that's where he should be. He should be making some blocks here and there to throw some wrinkles in there, but he should definitely be more of a receiving kind of asset. At least that's how I view him. And then again, Sean Payton can use those other tight ends, find where they each fit, and then use them as needed for certain plays.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think Greg Dulcich is going to be
on fire.
Going to be a player this year.
I'll tell you this. I feel much more comfortable talking about Dulcich than I did with Fant. I was not a Fant fan. And
you were not a fan.
No.
You were not. No. He just plays the game like he knows what he's doing in terms of a route running, etc., the savviness.
Yeah, finding those little holes.
Yeah, I think we both can agree Travis Kelce is a cut above everyone. In a pretty significant degree. Noah Gray, I think, is a good player. Blake Bell has been he's been a really good player. Fortson is a nice big-bodied blocker. So a good group. So I think we can hands down say that Travis Kelce and the Kansas City Chiefs are 1.
Yeah.
So who's 2? Who is 2? So you got Gerald Everett and Donald Parham Jr. That's kind of the tandem there in LA.
Yeah.
Greg Dulcich, and in my opinion, it's probably going to be Adam Troutman. And in Denver, and then you got Austin Hooper, Michael Mayer, who I'm a real big fan of, and OJ Howard, which is
just that is a deep
name recognition. OJ Howard, career underachiever for sure.
He really is, though. That's very true.
Was almost a Bronco, if we all had our way.
I like Trey McKitty. Obviously, he was a Georgia guy, but I don't think he's at that level where you can kind of really pound your table on him and say, "Hey, he's the guy over Everett or any of those guys on the Chargers." So for me, I think it's number 1 is Kansas City. Number 2, it's Las Vegas. Number 3, I do have the Broncos, but just barely ahead of the Chargers. I think that the two teams are just right there together. The one thing with the Broncos is I think they know what they're doing and how they're going to use those players specifically, where again, the Chargers feels like it's kind of just those were the names they were able to get, and they're going to see how they fit them in as they go.
Yeah. I actually will have it. I actually think that I would put the Chargers at 2. I think Gerald Everett, I think he's a good player.
Yeah.
He has been the last couple of seasons. Darnold Parham is a tremendous red zone talent. And Trey Kitty, I think, is a pretty good player, especially has all the talent in the world for a third tight end. So I really like that group. I think that they're second. I actually think the Raiders are third. That opportunity to be second if Michael Mayer is who I think he will be.
Yeah.
And then I think the Broncos are 4th. I like their group. I think Adam Troutman I think that those top 3 are good players. I don't know what Albert Okwuegbunam will bring to this roster, if anything at all, but we shall see. So right now, I think that's how I would stack them up. So next for the people.
Yeah, I know people were excited about what Okwuegbunam did in a non-mandatory minicamp, but at the same time, I it's one of those things. It's 7-on-7s. I have to see it when they're really in pads, really going and going at it, because Okwuegbunam, man, we've been waiting.
Yep. So, this is a hard breakdown the way it goes for it's kind of interior defensive lineman and then exterior. So kind of it doesn't really go the front 7 route. So I think what we'll do is kind of look at
use it as a little cheat sheet kind of thing.
Yeah, we're just gonna look at the whole as the front 7 for.
Oh, gotcha.
For the Raiders first. See what we think. I think you and I have an idea right now about kind of where each group sits. But so we got Max Crosby, Jerry Tillery, Bilal Nichols, and Chandler Jones with Tyree Wilson coming into the fold. How do you feel about their defensive front? Do we want to do defensive front or front 7?
I'm comfortable with whichever. Let's just
front 7. Let's do
the front 7. Okay. Yeah, we're a little bit pushed for time. Yeah, you have to love what they're doing in terms of Max Crosby is locked up. I don't know where Chandler, Jones is going to be after this year or along those lines, but he did have a okay year, I'd say, last year. It came in waves, it felt like.
Mm-hmm.
And Jerry Tillery, again, another player that is, I thought he was going to be a very big player for the Chargers. He ends up now being on the Raiders. So we'll see where that ends up with them. That linebacking core, just again, it doesn't have me pounding the table saying these guys are, the best of the West, essentially. So for me, at least the front is good, but when you get to the linebacker core, it just doesn't leave a lot to be desired.
Yeah, I agree.
Or does leave a lot to be desired.
Yeah, their linebacking group. Really, the whole defense. Let's keep it real. Chandler Jones was a flop last year. Max Crosby really is that guy. That's why they drafted Tyree Wilson. You hope for their sake that he can become that kind of player. Neil Farrell is a nice backup interior defensive lineman. Jerry Tillery didn't work out for the Chargers. I don't know how he's going to work out there. Maybe we'll see how it goes. Bilal Nichols is a good run defender, but in my opinion, they easily are 4th, and a pretty wide margin, in my opinion. So let's look at the Chargers. Let's look at their front 7, right quick, as the kids would say. So what do you like? What do you not like here?
Very similar, Khalil Mack to Chandler Jones. He had a little bit better of a year, but still kind of leaving you a little bit to be desired. When it comes to this interior nose tackle, I like that they got Joseph Day. I think that's a nice player to have. But again, to me, a lot to be desired from that those front guys. And besides having Joey Bosa, I don't know. I'm really not, writing home again on Kenneth Murray. They didn't pick up the 5th-year option for a reason. Eric Kendricks, I know some people have been high on. It's just for me, I need to see it outside of Minnesota. So, yeah, they don't leave me, afraid for the Broncos, really, to be honest. This isn't a team I'm going to be, again, really afraid of. I think the Broncos can take advantage and do their damage.
Yeah. This is I think Khalil Mack is not a guy right now that plays up to that contract, and I think that they know that.
Yeah.
And Joey Bosa is a nice player, gets hurt a lot. I really like Tulotu. And you really like Dan Henley. That was kind of one of your guys this season. So I think that they'll be able to contribute. I think Kenneth Murray is a lost soul sometimes, really good run defender, and not sure what he's doing in pass coverage, and neither do they. Eric Kendricks, I think, is a good pickup. Austin Johnson, good run defender. So is Joseph Day. So I think I like that group. I think it's pretty steady, but they got carved up a lot. And you saw that in the last game with the Broncos. They got ran over. And I don't think that much has changed. I think Eric Kendricks is an upgrade at that position, but inside linebackers, off-ball linebackers, the contract shows. I think he got like $5 or $6 million a year, so not exactly game-changing money. So I think that this group is Joey Bosa is definitely not the best Bosa, and so
he wants to be paid like the best Bosa, though.
Yeah, but I expect him to be hurt at least 6 games, and Khalil Mack is long in the tooth, so I don't expect him to contribute as much. So I got this group third for sure. And so we are going to move to the defending champion Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City, I really liked Karlaftis. I thought he was a really good draft pick last year.
Definitely.
Nduki Uzoma it presents a bit different of a skill set. So I really like that duo in the last couple of drafts. I think that was really smart. Omenihu is I think a pretty well-rounded player. Anytime that you can get a defensive lineman from San Francisco, that they have been well coached and they will be a good player. So pretty smart. I like their depth. They have some really good depth on the defensive line. Willie Gay and Nick Bolton played really, really well last year.
They did. I think all of us kind of had that Nick Bolton, he has T-Rex arms kind of thing, but ever since his rookie year, he has just performed every single time, every single game for me. So he's someone that I have nothing but respect for, and I think he's just honestly underrated, at this point. Yeah, and like you said, with Gay, he performed just as admirably.
Yep. Yeah, that to me is one of the better duos. Begrudgingly, I have to say that Drew Tranquil was a starter with the Chargers as that backup, and then Leo Chanel is a freak athlete who came in and gave them some pretty good snaps. So overall, I think that group is one, and
you have them as one now,
and an opportunity really to kind of to get better. When Danny Shelton is your third string defensive tackle, it's probably a pretty good group.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then let's go to our beloved Broncos and see where do we stack them? How do they feel right now? So Zach Allen, obviously the big ticket item. DJ Jones, fantastic run stuffer. Jonathan Harris, question mark at best at the other defensive end spot if he starts. Obviously,
but they've liked Harris. He's been on this team for a long time.
Yeah,
multiple staffs.
Agree, but still. You really don't know. And so Jonathan Harris is going to have to fend off Matt Henningsen, who has really taken to Zach Allen, as I've heard. So trying to take as much out of his repertoire as possible. Yeah. Mike Purcell is a fantastic run stuffer. So I really kind of like how that goes. And then Awazurike sounds like he's gained some weight to 320, 330. Which I think would be really great kind of for the nose tackle position. So we'll see how that goes, his long arms, etc. So I feel okay about the defensive front. Still really worried about.
Now I've seen this comment from Jolene. I could see Frank Clark moving to right defensive end for Denver. I've seen a lot of people actually suggest that. What are your thoughts there? For me, off the back of my first thought is. That I would be fine with that as long as he's setting the edge properly and being a good run defender. And again, it all matters on the health of those edge rushers for me at least.
Yeah, he predominantly has played that, I believe, in Kansas City. So I think Randy has moved around quite a bit. So if it were me, I think to make sure you get the best out of both. I agree. I think that's a really good observation. Jolene right there. That would be what I would do, just for the sake of it. But I bet that they'll mix and match quite a bit. I really, really think this guy and Drew Sanders is going to get a lot. I'm really excited about him, and I hope my excitement is tempered a little bit. I think he's going to be able to contribute a lot. So I really like the depth here.
So
though,
do you have? I just want to make sure again
yeah.
with Drew Sanders. Do you have him, playing around a little bit of that linebacker and on the end kind of edge area as well, or do you have him kind of strictly being that interior or off-ball linebacker?
I think to maximize his potential early, I think you need to let him go outside. I think a ton of that is you can win outside, less in the NFL than college, but you can win on athleticism sometimes, depending on if you get a matchup, you get a 1-to-1, and he is as athletic as they come, and I think that's it's where a team needs help, right? We need help on the edge, in my opinion, and so that would be a really good one. It sounds like Jonathan Cooper has looked really good. Pads aren't on, so we shall see. Haven't heard anything from Nick Bonito. Don't know if that's good or bad. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I think Drew Sanders is going to contribute all over the place. So, Denver Broncos Syndicate, our friend, by the way, hello, good afternoon.
Hey,
missed that one. I think he's going to move around a lot. And I think he's the wild card. If he can come in and play a la Baron Browning's first year, where plays inside, plays on the edge, you mix and match. We talked about that, about what to expect on our last pod. I think he's going to be the sneaky addition. And Sean Payton will play rookies, especially on defense, and especially at inside linebacker. So I think he'll be a guy that will play early. Alex Singleton and Josie Jewell are a tremendous pair. Sadly, it's probably going to be the last year of that pair. We'll see. But I think that they stack up right with Kansas City's duo.
I do too.
As much as anything. So I like the Broncos. I think the Broncos, in my opinion, have the second best defensive front seven. However, we would like to be able to mix and match that, or front six, depending on if we're, the nickel and all that good jazz. Some good depth, inside linebacker, I feel really good about. They're too deep. And defensive front, I feel like they have a lot of good depth pieces outside of Allen and maybe DJ Jones. I don't really feel overly confident in whoever that would be that third hand in the dirt. So we'll see. Hopefully Matt Henningsen, who showed up pretty well, and Awazuruke, who had a really good final game against the Chargers, show out. So that's my hope. Do you agree with Kansas City 1, Broncos 2?
I have Broncos as 1. I have the Broncos as 1. So I mean, for me, the differences really come down to just I like the Broncos edge rushers and their depth, and it comes down to depth. So yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, you know what? I hope you're right, because you know what? That is good for us. All right. Well, while we're here, the Broncos, in my opinion, as we early go into it, I think I strongly believe that they have the best secondary. I also believe Caden Stearns is going to be, how did the kids say, that dude. And in doing so, I think Kareem Jackson's going to be able to play, some big nickel and help contribute, move guys around. I think it gives this team more flexibility. I think they're always better with more depth. PJ Locke, I think, is a good player. Riley Moss has had a good camp so far. So I think that will be a good group. K'Waun Williams, one of the best slot corners in the league. Pat Surtain is if not the best corner in football, debatable top 3. I would say pretty strongly. And then Justin Simmons, if not the best safety in football, is top 3. Before we move there, just to be able to answer
let's get it
question, I really think he makes sense in a 4-man front because of his ability to play in the dirt. So
he's done it before.
Inside, I think he could. I don't know his personality type. I don't know if that's the agreement that he would have to come here. I don't know if anyone cares. So we'll see. But I do think his ability to hold the edge, his size at like 275, I think really gives the team an opportunity to play multiple. So I hope that they do. I hope that they're, Randy Gregory gives the same thing over there. So in my opinion, I think they can play more, more versatile. They can be more dynamic up front than the other teams. We shall see. Randy Gregory has been hurt a lot, and then Frank Clark is definitely on the backswing. So going back to the secondary, do you feel like this is the best secondary in the AFC West?
Oh yeah, for me it's pretty clear. I mean, Justin Simmons, one of the best free safeties out there, or safeties. I really don't distinguish between the two. Kareem Jackson, like you said, he gives you flexibility to move him around, help with corners, being nickel, doing different, just creating different looks, having confusion with multiple safeties out there. Stearns, again, he's a guy who every single time he's on the field, he's making plays. So if he's healthy, that hip is good to go. I expect him to be a difference maker. And same thing with PJ Locke. When he's on the field, I do expect that same kind of level of play that he did last year, where it is very noticeable and you feel his presence. So for me, these safeties are a class above everyone else, and these corners, your starters, besides Mathis being a little bit concerned of is he going to be able to repeat, I don't think a lot of us have that concern, though. I think we saw it for the whole season, and we're ready to see it for season 2 and upload that.
Yep. I think that's a tremendous way to kind of sum it up. So hopefully our guys go there. I'm going to go to who I think is number 2, who is the Los Angeles Chargers.
Someone has a crush on Derwin James, I'm guessing.
You know what? I've loved Derwin James forever. And, his play on the field has not shaken me or that. Obviously, he's a guy who's had some injury history.
Was he from FSU? Am I correct? Yeah. So you really love.
Yeah, really key piece to a really good run there. Was a phenomenal corner that moved to safety, was phenomenal safety. So then played everywhere, and even at linebacker. Derwin was a man among boys in college, and in my opinion has been a man among boys in the NFL, which says a lot. Those are some really big dudes. Asante Samuel Jr., also a Florida State Seminole, also really like. However, I think he's he's a steady player. I think he's a good CB2, not a good CB1. What I think is interesting is JC Jackson, who's a ticket item. Wasn't that good last year, obviously, in and out of the lineup. And I don't know how updated this is about their actual
depth,
but definitely didn't perform the way that they hoped and making a lot of money. So we'll see. However, I think Alohi Gilman and Michael Davis are good players. So I think if you even just look at those 4, I really like it. I like that group. So I would have them 2. Thoughts?
Yeah, this group I'm not as high on right now. Like you said, Asante Samuel Jr., I like him a lot. I don't have him as his true number 1 at this point. JC Jackson, you wish he was your number 1. Obviously, like you said, all of that just to me, this is just screaming Derwin James' love, to be honest. So I love Derwin James too, but at this point, it's really hard for me to have them at number 2 just with the depth and this whole entire thing, honestly.
No, that's fair.
So I'll probably rank them a little bit lower when it comes time to put these through. But right now they stand as 2.
Yeah, and then you know what? We're going to go to, again, the defending champs. So Jalen Watson, Brian Cook, Justin Reed, Ladarius Sneed, and then Trent McDuffie. How do you think that this group shakes out?
Yeah, Trent McDuffie, expected a lot out of him. Wasn't he a first round, if not early second round pick?
And McDuffie was a 1. Yep.
Yeah, and Sneed is someone I really do like and think he's a quality guy. So this is definitely a step up. Obviously, with the loss of Mathis, it was something to be felt, but I think they've recovered well with Cook, and they have guys in there to kind of fill that need. So I really like this this back half. What about yourself?
I think it's steady. I think it's good. I don't know that I would say it's great, but I also don't know if they need to be great. Again,
that's a good point.
Some of the parts, I think they play well together defensively. Without outside of Chris Jones, that there's not necessarily a star on defense for sure. but some good players. I do like that. Mike Edwards, I think, is a good, nice depth piece. And they seem to make it work. They kind of pull a guy off the scrap heap every year, and they come in and play well. Again, Jalen Watson is an example, 7th round pick last year. So I like this group. I would accept an argument for them being 2. I think based on cohesion, but not talent. Justin Reed is a steady defender.
I like that term, steady. I think that this is just a steady room. They know where each other is going to be. If they make a mistake, they're going to know who made the mistake. It's very that it is what it is kind of team.
Yeah. And then I think we both can agree this is the other group.
This is
Nate Hobbs is a pretty good player. Marcus Epps was a pretty good player for the Eagles, now getting a bigger role. I thought Trayvon Moehrig played pretty well, actually. And then
still a little undersized, if I recall, though.
Yeah, and they had him play a lot in the box. And I think he did okay in his second season. But, in my opinion, this whole defense is kind of a wreck. I'm not sure exactly what or why what they're doing here. But again, there's probably a method to their madness. I just don't know what that is. And I would agree that it's
a Josh McDaniels madness, and I'm not getting into it.
No, I think that they think they're smarter than most people instead of in using some common sense. But so we would agree this is 4.
Yeah, I agree.
We got Broncos at 1, and then the and the A.
What's going on?
Wagetswation. And then so we got Kansas City bringing up the rear. Broncos at 1, and then your argument for Kansas City being 2 is
that they're steady, and I feel like that when you're coming with the Los Angeles Chargers, you're basically looking at one player to carry your whole secondary. It feels like at this point in Derwin James. So for me, at least, again, if it's based off a few players, then Derwin James, I'll put Los Angeles second. But if it's based on the entirety, I think that they're third.
Okay, you know what? I will give you that. I will concede to your argument. Football. They defensively in general, they underperformed, and I don't know if that's schematics.
Yeah.
I was wrong about Brendan Staley. I thought he was going to be a really good coach. I think he is. And maybe he is. Maybe he's going to be a really good. He'll remain kind of maybe a good defensive coordinator, but some real struggles in as a head coach. And I'll give you that. I think that your argument is fair.
Yeah,
it's fair.
So I think we got all the positions. You want to go into special teams, or are we breaking that down?
I don't.
I agree. We got here 120.
Have the fourth best group. I think the Chargers are and I think Kansas City and the Raiders have good punter and good kicker. So I expect them both to perform well. The Chargers have a really good, or the Chiefs have a really, really good Dave Tobe in their special teams coordinator. So I expect them to remain at the 1. We'll see. Hopefully the Broncos can climb that ladder, and Sean Payton is a head coach that will ensure that happens, I believe. So again, thank you for joining us. So that's we're going to call that a show here. So the Broncos, I think, fared well in their depth charts. We shall see. I also think they have the second best head coach in the division behind Andy Reid, and a close second in terms of I'm excited to finally feel like you're not overmatched in that group. So that's our take for the day. Any final words on our rally parade day?
Just everyone be safe, and I'm sure you're all have done your partying, so go home, rest, and just recover for tomorrow.
Yep, and then party again. And you know what? We have a world champion here in Denver, and hopefully they're just handing the baton for the Broncos this season. So we'll be back podding on Monday. Hope all of you have a wonderful weekend. As always, be kind to one another, and go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.